was being bitten then. It's just a spiky bit. I'm always being bitten here, so I'm always checking. If it's not the ants, it's the mosquitoes or the horseflies, so fun times. Anyway, right, where do I even begin? So much has happened since my last videos. I have been here a lot and I've progressed a lot. I think most of the progress for me has actually been emotional, mental progress. I've learned so much more, and I now look back and think on my other videos and think, what was I doing? But I'm sure I'll look back on these videos and think, what was I doing? So it's all good. It's all good learning. Again, where do I even begin? Right. I have tried to film many videos, and every time I've had my daughter with me, my 3-year-old. One time I didn't have her with me, but I did have my teenager. So every time I've had a child with me, and I start filming a video and I can't ever seem to finish it. So I have realized that I can't wear my mum hat at the same time as being able to film. They were all epic failures. But I'm here today and I'm on my own, thankfully, finally, and I have arranged in future to be able to come here once a week, for at least an afternoon a week, to be able to come and film and show you the progress and actually share some of this journey with you, which was my intention all along. I have actually camped here and I didn't film it, and I'm so sorry, because I really wanted to film it. I brought all my gear and I was so tired, and I had my daughter with me. She didn't stay overnight with me, but I was getting up at 6 in the morning from the tent with the alarm on, get up at 6, drive all the way home, collect her, bring her back, because I was camping in the week and my partner was having to work, and because she was here all day, it was, I was in mum mode and I couldn't film. So I'm going to try and explain to you what happened during that camping trip. And I was terrified. I was really, really, really terrified. The first night I didn't sleep at all, but I will tell you more as we walk up to the camp, and I'm going to show you the fire pit we dug and the bushcrafting table that has now fallen apart because I need to learn how to lash things, and I'll show you it all. We'll go up, we'll have a look. One thing I do want to show you is my car got stuck on the way in here. I was only thinking yesterday, who needs a truck anyway? You can just drive straight up, but apparently you can't. In a Ford Fiesta, when it rains ever so slightly, the Ford says no. So we will be walking up the hill today. Nearly there, nearly there. Here we go, up the hill. Wow, so much scat, so much fresh fox droppings. It's always nice to get to this bit. Here we are. Right, set up the tripod, have a chit chat, show you the campfire, catch my breath, drink coffee, chit chat some more. So I have caught my breath, had some more coffee, and now I can show you that this area along the right, along the top of my land, is where we decided to camp. We pitched our 2 small tents up here, just there and there. I do have a small amount of phone footage that I will put in to show you that. But we camped there, relatively flat and mostly away from the bulk of the ants. But we did encounter an enormous amount of horseflies. My poor friend went home with his ankles just completely horribly swollen from the horseflies. I'm definitely going to bring insect repellent in future. This is where we ended up with our fire pit, which we dug out nice and deep, cleared the whole area of leaves and twigs and things like that, and tried to make things as safe as we could. The camp was probably about 2 weeks ago now, so obviously things are not quite as clear as they were before, and things are falling apart a little. Most notably, the bushcraft table I made. My friend and I put it together. Obviously, I need to learn how to lash things properly. It's sort of stayed, but what's happened is this has dropped down and everything just sort of slid off. I didn't actually lash them. They were just kind of quite nicely wedged in. But if this hadn't have dropped down the tree, it would have stayed, I'm sure. But it has dropped, so that is one thing I'm definitely going to do next time, is lash things properly. I need to go off and learn how to do that. Knots is probably not my strong point. I still tie my shoelaces funny. This is where the bell tent will eventually be. Yeah, so we have plans for that area. Plans have definitely changed. We're not going to be doing the deck, certainly not initially, although that would be a nice long-term plan. I have had problems getting hold of enough pallets. It seems that they are difficult to get hold of in bulk for free, most certainly. So we're going to try something else, and that is to make a sort of bushcraft retaining wall up there and then just level the area, which we have started doing in another area, and I will show you that. I swear I hear the trees creaking. That makes me nervous. Don't like it when they get creaky in the wind. So over here, I'm kind of just like showing you around. Over here we have the area that my parents will be camping in. Mostly my mum, I think. She's more like me in that she loves camping and being in nature, and this is her spot. We have cleared a fair few of the trees and the stumps, and yes, we took them away. We will be using them for building projects and firewood and things like that in the future. So many trees here, guys. And actually we would be doing a disservice to the woodland if we didn't create some clearings and allow some light to reach the forest floor, and it's very overcrowded, and it's a good thing to create some clearings in woods. So we have created this one. Let me try and show you properly. Look at that. Oh my god, it's so amazing. I can't get across really on the camera that it is fairly sloping. We are going to build a bit of a retaining wall down the bottom there, bushcraft style, with some stakes holding up some horizontal trunks. Oh my god, me and words. Horizontal trunks. Do a sort of a bushcraft type wall along the bottom there, and then just level it. I'll level the dirt up to there, dig maybe some steps roughly where I'm standing down, and make it pretty. And maybe later on we will put a deck type feature in there if I can get hold of any pallets in the future, but they do seem to be awkward to get hold of in bulk and for free, most notably for free. So that's our other solution that's free. Now I've given you a little bit of a tour, though I haven't shown you a bushcrafting bench I tried to make. I'll do that another day. Now I've given you a little bit of a tour, I'm going to sit down and not slip over in the puddle, not have a tree fall on my head, and I'm going to tell you about my horrendous camping evening night where I was absolutely terrified, but at the same time it was the best experience of my life. Let me set up the tripod and I'll tell you about that. Hi, so I have moved away from the crazy creaky tree, so hopefully nothing falls on my head while I'm sat here. I'm back over at the area that we have cleared, ready to put the bell tent up, and that should, fingers crossed, we should be getting at least one bell tent up this year. Oh, I'm really excited. We should be way further ahead than we are right now, but obviously with the whole COVID thing and the whole not being able to get pallets and everything like that, it just worked out that we haven't been able to be as far along as I had hoped, but we are actually getting there now, and this is how far we've got. But what you really want to know is how my camping trip went. And I was terrified, and right, the beginning of the trip, I set up with my friend. It was about 5 o'clock in the evening, and we're both fairly experienced campers, but we're not experienced woods people, as I'm sure you've gathered. But we found a place to camp on the ride where nothing was going to fall on us, and we dug our fire pit, and we dug it nice and deep, and we cleared the area, and we set up, and by the time we'd got a fire lit with a ferro rod and tried to be as authentic as we could, it was about 10 o'clock before we were actually eating, which is fine. I'm a late eater anyway. And then obviously we cracked open the wine, and there wasn't a huge amount of wine because I knew I was getting up the next morning, so we weren't completely drunk or anything, which was probably a shame in the sense of it, because I was mostly sober. I was able to get completely terrified. I had my headlamp on, and I've not camped using headlamp before. Usually we just have lights and lanterns and the fire. But I decided I'm in the woodland and everybody else on YouTube uses a headlamp, so I'm going to get myself a great headlamp. So that's what I did. And then in the dark, and it's so dark, because it's not as if there's any open space in this wood. It's so dark, and you're wearing the headlamp, and it's really Blair Witch. And I don't like to watch horror movies. My friend made the mistake at one point of saying, "Oh my gosh, look down the track, you know, that's something right out of a horror movie." And that just got me thinking, which was a big mistake. Because I'm looking around and everywhere's dark. And it's not just the dark that's the problem, it's the noise. One thing I never imagined would even be a thing before camping in a woods like this was that you can't tell, or certainly in this woodland, I don't know if it's the same in other woodlands, but you can't tell where the sound is coming from. So, being socially distanced, we're sitting at opposite sides of the fire pit, and I was at one side and we're facing each other, and there's a noise. And I've jumped up and turned around because I swear it's behind me. I'm doing this all the time. After the first time, because every little noise, I'm just paranoid that there's going to be something there. But my friend, he swears it's behind him. And that frightens me even more. Because when you hear sounds, they always come from a direction. But it's such a horror movie thing to not know where sound is coming from, or to have sound come from everywhere, and it just played into my mental state of, oh my gosh, there is a spirit in the forest that is trying to murder us or something. Which was just, it wasn't that I was frightened of an animal or something. I know there are no animals to be frightened of here, and logically, of course, there's no spirits in the forest trying to kill me either. But it was pitch black, and we couldn't tell where the noises were coming from, and I had never slept in a woodland before. So my friend, no, he sat there really calm and collected, and although he's sort of vigilant and trying to tell what the noise is, he's doing it more of a perspective of, what is the animal? He wants to see the animal. And I'm just pooping myself, and he's wetting himself laughing because I'm pooping myself. I'm saying to him, are you not frightened? Because obviously I think he's got to be frightened. I'm so terrified. He's obviously frightened too. Well, no, actually, genuinely, he wasn't frightened. He's just, but he's laughing, and I'm thinking it's nervous laughter. And he's actually quite nervous, and no, he was just laughing at me. Am I crazy? I never ever imagined that I would be that frightened. I have never been that frightened in my life. I didn't sleep that whole night. We got in the tent. It was, if I remember rightly, it was probably about midnight, 1 a.m. And we got into the tents, 2 tents, one each. And I'm lying in the tent. I'm saying, I'm going to have to come into your tent. Thankfully, I got a grip of myself enough to be like, no, I really do want to do this, and I want to be able to do this in future, and I forced myself to stay in my own tent. But I did say several times, I think I'm going to have to come and get in your tent. It's like, oh my God. Anyway, I'm lying there, and there's lots of noises. Lots of noises. It's a very noisy place at night. And it sounds like someone's walking, and obviously I'm still just really hyped. And it sounds like there's somebody walking outside my tent. And then I hear my friend Zips go, and I just think, oh, it's okay. He just must have got up to use the toilet, and I calm myself down, and I tell myself it was him. And then eventually, while I'm trying to just, stay alive through the night in my tent, I hear the birds singing. And I have never been so relieved to hear birdsong in my life. Oh, I did actually manage to doze for about an hour. It wasn't a full sleep, but I just felt safer then. I knew the sun was coming up, it was getting a bit lighter, and I thought, oh wow, I made it. Oh no, what a fool. I actually found out that he hadn't got out of his tent at all. My friend stayed in his tent, and he was actually closing up the zips because he could hear footprints outside the tent, and we were sleeping with the doors open, and the bug nets were all closed on the inside, but the doors were open. The reason I was sleeping with the doors open is because I could see his tent outside, and that gave me some sort of sense of comfort seeing the tent there. But he closed his zips because he was like, oh my gosh, there is something outside, and he didn't want to turn over and just see these eyes looking at him. And I'm not saying he was scared, but obviously there was that, I don't want to turn over and have this animal looking at me, and he was logical about it. So actually, the next day, we did see foxes, and in fact, that first night, my friend saw a fox behind me, and apparently it was only a couple of meters behind me, and you didn't hear it. You just did not hear it until it realized it had been seen, and unfortunately I didn't get to see it, but until it realized it had been seen, when my friend Sean said, oh, there's a fox behind you. And then I've turned round, and you heard it when it ran off. So I think the noises that we were hearing was actually foxes coming to see what was going on, and then them deciding they'd had enough and they ran off. But they can sneak up like, silently through the woodland, and you don't have a clue they're there until they skedaddle in the opposite direction. So, well, I survived. I survived the first night, and that made the second night a lot easier. We did see a fox again in the daytime the next day. I had picked up my daughter because I was going home at 6 each morning to collect her because my partner was working, so he was having her of an evening and I was having her during the day, so I was driving all the way home to collect her during the day. And I drove home on no sleep, picked her up, came back, got the coffee on and everything, and then we went off for a walk. and we saw a fox just run across the ride, and we saw quite a lot of wildlife throughout the day, which did put my mind at rest. And the next night, although I would say moderately nervous, I certainly wasn't frightened, and didn't have silly things going through my head like there was some monster in the wood, some spirit that was going to kill me or something, like a lunatic, like a complete lunatic, thinking that that was even a thing, and I just completely lost control of my thoughts and was being completely illogical. But that's what happens when you get people that don't really like horror films and then watch horror films, and then your friend mentions it's all like a horror film, and that that headlamp, it's so Blair Witch. Now when I watched Blair Witch, I wasn't actually frightened because it's a stupid film. But then when I was in this situation in the woods, camping, and you've got that beam of light and you can't see anything else, and there's noises and you don't know what direction they're coming from, and your heart starts beating out of your chest, at a certain point you've just lost all sense and logic. Logic completely failed me. I kept telling myself I knew logically I was fine, but emotionally I was not. There you go. And I'm planning to do it again in 2 weeks. Oh dear. At one end of the spectrum it was horrendous, but then at the other it was amazing just to feel an extreme emotion. I think we've been locked down for so long. Not only have we all been on lockdown, but personally I have been somewhat locked down for the last 3 years because of my son's autism and having added another child into the mix. And I spend a lot of time at home because my partner goes off to work during the day and I can't take both children out at the same time on my own. We need at least 2 adults with my son's autism, and so I just end up spending a lot of time at home. And because of that, I think coming here and having that level of emotion was like an awakening. Even though it was negative emotion, it was such a relief to have survived and to feel an extremity of emotion for me is just so freeing. I just felt so free, and even though I was frightened, it was so worth doing because I won't be that frightened again. And now I have learned what the noises are, and now I'm more excited and intrigued to see those animals rather than lying there with my eyes closed, not wanting to see whatever it is I see when I open my eyes, imagining it's something strange. Oh, it was quite the experience, and I'm very glad that I had that experience. I'm gonna have another one. Hopefully I won't be quite so frightened next time. I wasn't the second night, I wasn't so frightened, so but sort of restarting again, coming here again, it will be interesting to see what I'm like the first night, the second time. I've been here a lot during the day since then, so obviously we've cleared this and I'm getting to know the place better. It's just nice just to get to know it and listen to the noises. And the next day when my daughter was here, we actually saw with our own eyes, well, I saw with my own eyes, that the sound that she was making, she was drumming on something, and I kept looking behind me thinking, what is that? What is that? And then I saw her in front of me doing the noise. And then my brain realised that the noise is coming from there, so then it sort of switched to sounding like it was coming in front of me, whereas I would have sworn it was behind me. And I never expected that that would be a thing. And it is a thing, and now I know that. So I don't think there's any way I'll ever be so frightened again. I am very intrigued to know whether that is a thing that just happens in woodlands, or if it's something with the acoustics here. If you are a woodland camper, please let me know, because then I can be prepared for it in future if I camp other people's woodlands. So now you're aware of what the first night of my camp here was like. You can laugh at me suitably, because I'm very much happy to laugh at myself. It was well worth speaking about, that's for sure. Going to head back down the hill to my car, and it's in there that the creaky tree is, so I don't really want to hang around here too long. That's right by my camp. I'm going to have to come up on a separate trip and either hope that whatever needs to fall in there has fallen. The thing is, there are a fair few trees hung up in there now. They weren't there when we camped, but we've had some fall and they're now hung, and that's beyond my ability to sort, I think. But I'm getting there. I'm definitely getting there. The more I do, the more I realise where my limits are. And I do seem to know where they are and when to stop, which is good. I'm not taking any risks. When we know what we're doing with the whole second wave thing, if there's going to be one, if there isn't, kind of after this winter, I would like to get some training so that I can act with more confidence and know that I'm doing all the right safety things, and kind of take charge a bit more, I think. I like to make some little pathways through the woodland, maybe down in Boggy Bottom. I did actually have the idea of making a maze down there. There's so many little spindly trees, and they're all really, really thick. I did speak to a lovely gentleman yesterday who came to the wood and spoke to me about potentially him coppicing the woodland. Apparently, because of the whole COVID thing, there's actually a shortage of chestnut. So his company's run out of wood and they're looking for some chestnut coppice. So he came along, he took a look, because I know 4 acres is way too much for me to manage, and I also know that if this woodland is commercially viable, then I actually have a duty to kind of maintain that, because if I just let it stand for too long, it's then no good to anybody. And that would be sort of removing the history of the woodland, something that would have been done for hundreds of years, and then it all sort of stops at me, and that wouldn't be the right thing to do. But the news is he's not interested in my wood, which in a way is such a shame, but also it's kind of a good thing for me, because I feel a bit freer to just be able to do whatever I like, within reason, obviously, with the right thing to do for the woodland in mind. But now I know that it's really just sort of its only use is kind of recreational, and as a habitat for wildlife and things like that. I can just go ahead and create wildlife habitats and not have to think, am I ruining its ability to be coppiced in future? Because it's not commercially viable. He has no interest in coppicing this land, and therefore I can kind of just carry on. And if I want to create a maze in Boggy Bottom, because that sounds like fun, then I can go ahead and do that. And the trees that are there, the gentleman did kindly say that there's nothing that you can do about that. There's nothing that can be done from a management perspective about the whole overcrowdedness down in Boggy Bottom, and just to sort of leave it 50 years and it will sort itself out. The stronger trees will grow up. You'll have the birch grow up. Packing things in my car now. You'll have the birch grow up, and please don't fall over, Mr. Tripod. That will grow, and the weaker trees will sort of die off, and it'll all be sorted out by nature. There's not a lot you can do, but I can create little pathways through and create little grottos and places for the butterflies and little pathways for the children to get lost in. And it will be, could be quite unique and pretty down there, but that's definitely a decision for not this year. This year's plan, come on, this is so heavy. This year's plan is to get the campsite sorted. Right, and instead of struggling to put this away, I'm going to sign off, guys. It's been good. I'm actually back here tomorrow, so probably make another video then. 2 in 1 week. 2 in 1 week. See you very soon. Bye. Come on, focus. I don't know how to do this. What's going on? Now I've set up the camera, I've got to film myself walking here again. The obligatory I walked here shot. Right, now the obligatory I walked here shot with my coffee in the other hand. Because I don't remember which one I had it in originally. I've only just started talking to the camera, so I've got an hour to get through of ridiculous rambling rubbish. Blabbering and saying a lot and we are in, what month are we in? July? I am struggling. Okay. So I'm kind of on the edge of the land, but up in the middle of the rectangle. That makes no sense whatsoever. Let me get back to telling you. It's just really nice to just be sitting here in this little glade. And I've got 3 lenses on my camera because it's my phone, and I do not know what one to look at. So I'm just going to look in that direction and hope it works out okay. I'm considering actually taking this bench up to the top of the woodland, and then I can pretend I made it as part of my camp. And my bushcrafting my skills were upgraded. No. So I'm rambling again. Get a grip, Lissy. Get a grip. Get a grip. Okay. Aeroplane going over. I just wish I could skip that nervous bit and then just get straight into talking properly like a normal human being. I have been here 8 times in a row with the intention to film, and I bring all my gear and I know what I'm going to do, and I roughly know what I'm going to say, mostly going to ramble, but roughly know what I'm going to say, and it just doesn't happen. When I'm here with my 3-year-old, I have to be mum. If you hear a child in the background, it's just mine being 3, doing what 3-year-olds do. So What a morning! Another time. Yes, Beth? Oh no, the straw fell in the apple juice garden. If you've been watching this channel, oh, there's an alarm. Dismiss. Ah! You want to come out of the car? Lord help me, she wants to come out the car. Oh.
I maybe moved the way off your shoe.
Oh, thank you very much.
I'm a big move the answer way off your shoe.
You are, thank you very much.
You know Antonio pants?
No, no, I don't have ants in my pants. Thank you very much. Already, I think I've probably said that already as well. Sometimes there's so long between takes, I don't know what I've said and what I haven't said. I've moved away from the creaking tree. Yeah, we just went a bit OTT. I think we bought everything in backpacks and filled the car. So it was like, we're doing a lightweight trip, but we're also glamping and we're going to bring the kitchen sink. I don't really know what the format of my videos is going to be like because it's all still very new. I have ideas in my head of these little masterpiece videos I want to make, and then it ends up something entirely different because it's what I want to do is not in my skill set, or I'm not, I ramble too much, basically. So I think I'm just going to have to realise that that's what this channel is going to be like. I will show you what I do and I'll ramble at you, and if people don't like it, then that's fine. Because I don't like it either. Actually pack a lot less food so that I can diet more effectively. Ah, people don't want to know about your diet, Lissy, for God's sake.
In the guest book, you'll have to have a bite counter. How many bites did you get?
Yep. That'd be great.
It was a badge of honour.